Hey, ladies, welcome back.
Hey,
Oh my goodness, it's so good to see y'all and hear
Yes.
us. Yes, yes, yes.
good to see
So
you,
glad.
ladies.
Yes, for sure, for sure. So I am Linda, Shauna, and Jeanette. I keep saying I'm just so happy to be here. We are back for episode 5 on
Wow,
Heart of Chat. Can you believe it's been
I
5
know it's
episodes?
going quick.
it
It
is.
is. It is. And we just want to thank everybody for listening and also for watching. Shauna has posted us on YouTube. Jeanette has created that beautiful cover art for us for YouTube. So amazing. So please check us out over there at the Heart of Chat. So for today, we are going to talk about how to focus and stay in your lane.
Talk about it.
Talk about it, be about it, right, Jeanette?
That's right.
I love it, love it, love it. So yes, this is a topic suggestion that I think Shauna had kicked it off, and Jeanette, you chimed in on this one. And some of our listeners also had suggested this too, just from the many comments that we've received on our social media, some emails that we've gotten back. Yeah, I think this is the perfect topic to follow up on one of our earlier episodes about pursuing your passion. So for sure, for sure. So Shauna, do you have some tips for how to focus and stay in your lane? I know you always talk about schedule. You're very, very good at that, and we'd love to hear more.
Yeah, I'm good at setting a schedule.
Yeah.
Sometimes sticking to it can be a challenge.
Yeah.
I'll set a
Yes.
schedule
We'll
all
skip that
day long.
schedule.
That's that human part of ourselves, right? So yeah, I live by a schedule. I need a schedule. I need to know what I need to be doing, when I need to do it, and how I need to do it. I do allow for flexibility, of course, because life hits, right? So scheduling is very, very important, but I want to take it back to something a little bit more of a precursor that I think we have to work on our minds for, and that's just basically minding our business.
Ooh, ooh, that's a topic.
Minding our business,
Yeah.
and and you all know what we mean by that is just really taking care of what you need to take care of for yourself
Yeah.
and figuring out who you are, what you want to do, what's your impact in this world, what type of legacy are you trying to leave. All of those pieces, right, has to do with minding your business. So minding our business can look different for many of us. I know that I do mirror talk. I do a lot of mirror talk, self-talk, and I
Shout out
check.
to Issa Rae.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shout
exactly,
Shout out
exactly,
to all my Issa
exactly.
fans.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Mirror talk helps me keep myself together if I'm going off of the path, or being focused on what somebody else is doing. I'm like, okay, Shauna, what's going on over there is not any of your concern. What's your concern? That's what I say to myself, in the mirror. So that's how I keep myself focused and try to stay in my lane. Another way is I try to tune out the noise, because it's so noisy. It's always noisy. It's always noisy. It's
Mm-hmm.
so noisy in 2020 right now, especially,
Yes.
you
Yeah,
know.
it is. And even with staying home and being quarantined, it's like we have even more time to kind of get ourselves into trouble in that way.
Mhm.
So it's even more important than ever to be really intentional about setting a schedule and, keeping track of all that time that you have.
Yeah, for sure. And getting sucked down the rabbit holes of whatever it might be. Oh man, it's just that
Be
part.
scrolling and you look up, Linda.
Yeah. I was like, it's like 3 hours later. What have I been doing?
Lots of distractions,
Yes.
lots of
Yes.
distractions.
So Shauna, let me ask you a question. So like I know you've been heavily involved in like YouTube, social media for years now with your different businesses, eNanny Link, and how I guess the question is like, how did you decide to, or how did you stay focused on what it was that you were going to do without getting sucked into like, oh, I need to do this and I need to do that and I need to do like all these things that everyone else is doing, and really stay focused? Because I feel like you're a person that is very focused and that you don't really get swayed too easily by what other people are doing because you really know who you are.
And
Um,
that's the key right there, is knowing who you are and why you are here and what your purpose is. So it's always a bigger purpose
mhm.
that is what you're going after. And for eNanny Link, for me, we spoke about this before, it was so important for me to get out of the claustrophobic walls of a classroom, I had clients at the time, private clients at the time, and I really, really believe that I was here to empower families across the world. And because of that, it drives me. So
Mhm.
I think once you figure out what it is that motivates you, drive you, what you're trying to do, no matter what happens in life, you may get knocked over, pushed over, you just got to be able to bounce back and come back and stay on track. And a lot of folks don't know this about me, but when eNanny Link was born 4 years ago, that's my first appearance ever on social media. So
Wow.
I had to learn all of that at the same time with blogging and YouTubing and Facebook groups and learning how to use Facebook. And then I've only been on IG. I think I'm only just made my 3rd year anniversary. I wasn't on IG right away.
Okay.
So yes, it's just knowing what the bigger purpose is and staying steadfast on that is what's going to keep you on track.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome, Shauna. I mean, that's how I met you in a Facebook group a little over 4 years ago. And it's amazing how, like Jeanette was saying, how you've been able to stay on that path without getting swayed. Oh, I'm going to now create something else that may or may not align with my brand or what I want to put out into the world. So I definitely admire that. And I think
Thank you.
that's, one of the things that helped me stay connected with you, and also you too, Jeanette, is that we're very focused on our path.
Yeah.
We don't let too many things get in our way to kind of cloud our vision. And we've seen you grow so much, Shauna, in this space.
Thank you.
Like, oh, you were doing your stories and your work with children and things. It's very inspiring. So I think
Thank
a
you.
lot of people can learn from that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you're very self-aware. I love that part too. It's like, oh,
that's that inner child, hanging out with that inner child.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Very, very good. So have you ever had someone, Shauna, approach you for, spaces that may not align with you? Let's say someone wants you to do something that's out of your lane.
Yes.
How have you been able to, yep, this is great, but no, I'm not going to do that. How do you get out of those spaces and places that may not align with you?
Yeah.
When I started YouTubing, I had a lot of people coming at me. They wanted me to read their books. It was a lot of authors. They wanted me to read their stories, which I was fine with because they were giving me content at a time where I was still trying to figure out what content was and who really was my audience and how do I bring them what they need. So it worked out pretty good for me within the first year. So there were several authors that I had to turn down, and they got very upset because I refused to read their story on YouTube. And it was because the content in the book didn't align, like the word you used earlier, it didn't align with what I believed in and what my purpose was. And a lot of times it came down to, there's 2 things that I don't like to imply on children, because we are all coming from a different space and walks and talks, and that's politics and religion. I don't get into that with I'm working with children. That is not something that we need to care about in that world. They're already going to get enough of that as they get older. And so a couple children's books came my way where the authors were very, into the political world, and I support, anyone's work with, activists and things like that. I don't have a problem supporting you on the sideline, but as far as what eNanny Link stands for, it's for all children. And the last thing that I will ever do is create any type of division among children based on politics and religion. So there were a lot of authors that I've got a lot of nasty emails, and my late husband would be like, this is good. I'm like, why is this good? They're not happy with me. He says, you're doing something. You're on to something. When people start complaining and people start, and they're upset about your work, it's because you are doing something that's bringing their attention, and that you continue to do what you're doing, because you need all of that. You need the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm like, okay, because I felt a certain type of way. I really felt pressure to do what they wanted me to do. And I had a gentleman from a whole nother country, like he was sending me emails for like 2 months in a row. I had to block him off of Facebook, had to block him off of different took him off my mailing list, things like that, because he was very aggressive, and he was very upset that I would not read his story on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So yeah, I won't do it. I will not be pushed around or moved into an area that I don't feel fits the brand.
And I feel like there's a place for those types of books, but I feel like it's more as a tool for parents to be able to have those conversations with their kids on different levels.
Exactly. That's the parent's choice.
Right. But when you're running a business, unless your business is centered around certain topics like that, it's kind of best so there's some things that I feel like you have to take a stance on and kind of let people know, but there's a certain way that you can go about it. So I think that that's really good that you were able to stand firm. And you didn't miss out on anything. Like, you continue to grow.
Yeah,
Thank
exactly. Yeah, it comes with knowing yourself and what you want to put out. Because at the end of the day, it's about you and what the work that you're doing. So I'm glad that you weren't swayed by that and bullied into doing something that you didn't feel aligned with you and your brand personally. So
Thank you.
I feel like that falls under the topic of fear of missing out, and a lot of people do things because they want to be part of the conversation. They want to say that, oh, I did that too, or I was there when this happened or when that started. And you have to be able to just like know who you are and not be worried about it. Like, you can't be everywhere, you can't be all things, and you have to, like you said, know yourself, know what your purpose is and why you're doing the things that you're doing. But fear of missing out. So go ahead.
Everything is not for everybody. We are not for everybody.
No,
right.
And it's always going to go back to minding your business. Is that your business? Are you supposed to be involved in that? You got to check yourself. Whether it's meditation, whether it's in the mirror, whether it's a gold circle around you, whatever, you have to check yourself, because then we got this other thing called comparison. Such and such brand is familiar. It's like mine. Oh, she's doing this way. Maybe I should do it this way. You know what I mean? We've all seen brands come and go. Because of comparison.
We have.
I can definitely say, like, I've fallen into that trap before. Just doing like personal inner work on myself and realizing that some of my limiting beliefs or things that were holding me back was because I was worried about, oh, am I too old to do this? It's been done before. Maybe I should do it this way, or I need better pictures. I need better this, better that. I need to talk like this. And it's just like, and then you just get to a point where you like, oh, forget it. I'm just not gonna, maybe I just shouldn't do this at all. And comparison is like, you can compare yourself on so many different levels. Am I a good enough mother? Am I a good enough wife? Am I a good enough employee? Is my business, does my business even matter? Even when you have a why, like, does my business even matter in a sea of how many people are feeling from the similar?
In that sense, I feel those are normal feelings. As far as what some of the latter part that you were talking about, I think more with the I think that's just normal inner feelings and inner conflict and inner changes and learning and growing. I think those are all normal and valid questions for yourself. I think the part with comparison is just actually looking at, I'm just going to use a letter. I don't want to use anyone's name. Letter A over here is doing this, I'm going to do exactly what she's doing, but I think as far as you saying, do I need better pictures? Maybe your brand is at the point where you need to polish it up a little bit. Maybe you're at the point where some changes need to be made because your audience is letting you know, hey, we really like your content. We would like it better if it was kind of like, you would know the difference if it's aligned or if it's not. So I think the comparison, I think those are all just natural questions, and they're always going to happen no matter what you're doing.
Yeah. And it's evolvement too. It's evolvement, but looking at what somebody's doing, to Jeanette's point, saying, ooh, I'm using a tool, right? And I need to be a teacher because they're doing it. I can admit, 7 years ago when I started A Life with a View, I did that initially because I'm thinking, I have to have a blog. So now I have to teach people how to do it. So I'm going to get on this tool to teach. That wasn't me. I'm not going to sit behind a screen and be sitting here teaching. I like people. I like getting out. I like talking. I'm not going to sit back and say, okay, I'm going to use this fancy tool. And I even went so far as taking the class, y'all, on how to do it. Like, I'm like, I'm not even at the point yet. I had like 2 blog posts and I'm sitting here thinking, because I'm watching someone else, that I now have to teach. And I was like, nope, I quickly ripped that up. I was like, no, this is not me. I need to keep writing. And that's exactly what I did. And that's how I got to the first book. So, yeah.
And that's the beauty of it, is being able to shift and know when something really isn't you, or when you've outgrown a certain aspect, because a lot of times people hold on to things that they were doing because they feel like, oh, that's what everybody wants me to do, and I should continue to do this. All my friends. So like, when we're doing certain things, like there's the YouTuber community, there's the YouTube vloggers, the YouTubers that teach.
Yes.
Then there's the parent community, the mom blogger community, your writers. Like there's so many communities for everything. As a photographer, there's the photography community. Then there's the Black female photography community.
Yes.
And it's just, you get caught up in, well, I prefer to shoot a certain thing as a photographer, but all these other people are doing weddings. And I feel like if you're not a real photographer, if you're not doing weddings, that is so not true. There are so many ways to make a living off of doing photography. And it just even in all those different communities, people get caught up in, well, maybe I should be doing that too. And it's just like, but you don't love it. And you'll know it when you're not, you'll know when you're not in your lane.
Let's talk about that part.
Yes.
You're going to be doing something and it's going to be like, this don't feel right. You know how I know I've shifted off in my tiredness of driving when I used to road trip a lot, and you hit those lines on the side of the road that
yes.
I'm there all the time.
Let me tell you, that's how it's gonna feel when you're not in your lane, because you're gonna be doing something that's not gonna feel right. It's not gonna move smoothly, and you're just not gonna enjoy it at all. And you're gonna be sitting there looking, and if you got real friends, they're gonna tell you when you're complaining. It's like, well, why did you do that anyway?
Right.
You don't even like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Kids. I love my children. I am not a children's photographer. People come to me and be like, hey, can you take pictures of my family? How old is your youngest child? If they're younger than 10, I got to send y'all somewhere else. I can't do babies. I can't.
Yeah.
And it's
a lot of work.
Okay. And a lot of why people get out of their lane is because the fear that, especially if it's your business, is that they're scared that if they say no to this money, they're not going to get, no more money is going to come their way.
Right.
Sometimes you're holding yourself back and you're blocking.
That's a block.
The things that are really going to bring you money into your business, because you're wasting your time doing things that you don't even love to do.
Exactly.
If you find yourself procrastinating, 9 times out of 10, it's because you're either doing something that you know you shouldn't be doing, or you've outgrown.
It doesn't feel good. And that's how you have to go. You got to go with your feeling. You got to go with your gut, and like you said earlier, it's okay to pivot. And guess what? If we got to pivot every week, every day, every moment, whatever, whatever you need to do to get yourself back on track and to get yourself in your lane where you're feeling good, and tracking the times where things felt good. That's where that journaling comes in at. That's where that brain dumping comes at. All those things that we talk about, because all 3 of us are writers. We're all we journal. Linda's an author. I will become an author in a few weeks. My book is getting ready to be published. So, but something about the ink to paper
Mm-hmm.
and really tracking, and then going back over where did I go wrong? You can look in your journals and you can see where you were feeling good, and you can see when something happened and kind of threw you off, you know, because it could be something from the past. It could be something, you know, that you're concerned about in the future. It could be, you know, a lot of things. So just doing anything that you can to try to keep yourself on track, you know?
Yes. And going back to what something Jeanette said too, you know, just trying this and trying that. And you said baby photography and kids photography and all that, that zaps your energy level.
Yes.
From things that you want to really do, or things that you should be doing, things that align with you and your spirit. That energy level is key. And you want to keep your energy up for the things that you love and the things that resonate with you. So I think
that's great, Linda.
Yeah. So, and I know, Jeanette, we talk about your gadgets and what excites you, and you're excited by apps and
that's the hard
one. So I think for you, that is your lane. Can you talk about that a little bit with your excitement around that?
Yeah, I'm like a squirrel and a shiny object, and it's just like, ooh, a new app. I'm like, if you have productivity apps, I'm like that person that goes into the app store on my phone. I'm an iPhone user. People.
Yes.
We know
Shauna.
one of us is not, but I won't call her out, Shauna.
Android.
Oh, we're not calling you out, Shauna.
I used to love Android. I used to work in telecommunications, and LG used to be my favorite brand, but I'm an iPhone person now. But yeah, I do. I love gadgets. I love all things tech. I love apps. I'll download 50 apps and test them all out and see which one works.
Wow.
But that's fun for me. It's almost like a hobby. But I like it because I can tell, like, you know, my friends are like, you know, oh, I'm doing this in my business. I'm trying to figure out a way to do X, Y, and Z. And I can give you a list of, you know, well, this one might work better for you. Even with like planners is the same way for me. Like, I've tried so many different planners. I know that doesn't work for everybody, but I can look at, like, Shauna is new to the planning community. And I know certain planners are going to resonate with her better than others just from knowing who she is. So I feel like there is a time and place to be able to, like, explore and play.
Yes.
Because I feel like it helps you find what you want to do. Now you have to know when to put it down.
Especially if you love it, right?
Yes.
You have to know when enough is enough. But at the same time, I feel like that is important, is that exploration part of it. And we kind of talked on some of this in my own episode of Owning Your Greatness. But yeah, I just feel like there's a time and place for it all. But that's part of my lane is
that is your lane, Jeanette. We love that about
it. Is
I wake up and I say, what can I do to make this recipe repository better? Oh, just call Jeanette. She's got it.
Jeanette's really good at that. Very gifted.
I need an easy, but like, oh, I got an app for that. Hold on, I got you. Give me some.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised at some point adding to your media company will be apps coming along with it.
Oh my goodness. Put it out there, Shauna. Yes.
I would not be surprised at all. And that's, again, knowing what you love, your passion, and, you know, because just the idea of downloading an app is very stressful for me.
Definitely. So speaking of, like, all the things, Linda, we kind of talked about that and how we kind of all met through, like, different social media groups and Facebook groups and stuff like that. And I know me and you went through this phase with another friend of ours where we just started unsubscribing from mailing lists, from groups. Can you talk about the need to, like, you know, silence that type of noise and how it was beneficial to you?
Oh yeah, that definitely. I think, admittedly, I was probably part of 50 Facebook groups, and I think you had to talk me off the ledge a little bit. You ladies had to talk me out of it because I was in everything. And to your point earlier about feeling like you're of a certain age, and because when I started my blog, I was in my early 40s, so I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm with all these millennials. Who am I? They've done it. They've already done it. They already know all the apps and the tools, and I could barely spell Facebook at that time. So it's like, Instagram, what's that?
Black Planet.
I was like, yes, exactly. MySpace. Where's MySpace? You know, AOL. I mean, some of these, shout out to AOL, right? So with that, I mean, I kind of got caught up in that. Seriously, I was subscribing to every blogger Facebook group that was in existence. And
Wow.
slowly, I mean, it was like pulling teeth for y'all to say, okay, I was getting probably 100 emails a week from these different, and I'm going through and looking at tips and looking at things, knowing that everything that I wanted to do was right within here.
Talk about it.
It was all right here. So 7 years later, here we are, right?
Yeah.
And that unsubscribing process was hard initially.
I got an app for that, y'all. It's called
I know. But about 3 years ago, three and a half years ago, Jeanette shared an app for that. And I'm going to tell you, I sat on it probably for about a month because I was scared. And it goes back to FOMO.
Yep.
Wow. Fear of missing out.
Yeah. I was so, because I'm like, oh, your blog post should be styled like this. It should have a header. It should be this or that. And some of that stuff aligned with me and some of it did not. Now, I will say, if I didn't join some of those Facebook groups, I wouldn't have met you ladies, right? Yeah. But I had already had a relationship with the two ladies. So I'll say Siobhan of Be Free Project and Christy, who had her Facebook group at the time. And we, if I hadn't joined those groups, I wouldn't have met you all, but I was really, getting something out of those groups. And also Alicia, who is one of our Trailblazer folks from a previous episode. I mean, so I stayed, on those particular lists because they really didn't align with me. All those other ones, I got something out of them, but getting 100 emails a week, how is that effective? Can you
exactly? And the time and the energy that you've given to that could have been given to something else that was coming out from within yourself.
I was so guilty of that, y'all. Just like poster child right here. Y'all can see me. Yeah.
And we talk a lot about, different ways to boost your creativity and your energy level and productivity and clearing your space of clutter. That also goes for digital clutter. And people don't realize.
I got to get that together in my life, Jeanette. Right now, I need a new cell phone. Because of digital clutter. Because my videos, my pictures, my this, my that. And I crash a phone and probably within a year's time. Within a year's time, I have to have a new phone. And on my laptop, it's still all the text portion it's not my strongest suit. And so I'm still working real hard to understand little simple things, so I do need to get on my laptop and get it together because I have stuff all over the place. And that's
I ain't gonna talk about it.
talk about my mouse issue. I can't even run the mouse pad on my
people don't know. So I did Shauna's first website and her second website. And we were doing some stuff, some work live, through Zoom and sharing screens. And she was like, where did I put that? And I just downloaded it. And she showed me her screen of her files. And I just want to hit take control and organize all her stuff. Literally, she had just downloaded and lost it. I'm like, what in the world?
Where'd it go?
And then remember, this, I don't know why I cannot learn how to use this mouse pad that's, that they have put on right here included in the laptop. And when they first started that so many years ago, my late husband tried to teach me how to do it. He's like, Shauna, it's real easy. Right click, left click, da-da-da. And my mouse literally, the cursor would be just all over the screen. I'm like, I can't get it where I want it to go.
And so you a wireless mouse?
Jeanette said, you got to get a wireless mouse. I'm like, all right. So I go get this wireless mouse and we're still working on some of the website pieces. We're in maybe 2 weeks, my mouse is still in the box. And she's like, where's your mouse? I'm like, oh, let me get the box out and let me. It's a challenge for me.
And so a lot of people struggle with the information clutter. And it's not even just a disorganization part of it. It's like being a hoarder. And although your personal space might be clear, you're hoarding all kinds of information.
You got to get my life in order. That makes sense.
Printables and downloads, and half of them you never touch. 45 of them are exactly the same.
That's me.
It's just like, how much
You don't want to see my Canva account. You have a copy here and a copy here and a copy here. Like, how did that happen?
Oh
how
gosh.
much information can you hoard until you start actually taking action? And I think that's a lot of people's excuse is, oh, I'm still learning. I'm still trying to figure it out. At some point, you just got to take action. You have to turn all that stuff off. And like you said, like Linda said, it's in you. You already have
I'm going to start today, Jeanette. I'm going to start today.
Yes.
I'm going to start today. I got to get my stuff organized on my laptop because it's messy. And when I go in to find something, I can't find it. And I don't know why I make it so different from my real life. My real life, I'm pretty organized. You know, I don't know why on tech stuff it throws me. And you know what my way of tuning out the noise when I get frustrated with it? I slam the laptop closed.
I was gonna say you turn it off.
I can walk away from it. So it's like I don't have to think about it till tomorrow.
And I'm just the opposite. I'm in there trying to sort through the 500 emails and putting them in categories and alphabetizing the printables.
Stuff is not fun to me. It's not fun.
I've been that person. So I can talk about these folks because I've been that person too.
Oh my gosh.
I got a lot of now my stuff is really organized. Let me tell you, you can go into my Google Drive and you use like personal business resources, and you go into resources like, okay, these are website design resources, these are photography resources. But at some point, I don't ever look at. There's probably about 5 things that I go back to on a regular basis, and all the rest of that stuff, it kind of just sits there. You just never touch it.
So many folders, so many emails, so many notifications on social media apps for all the groups that I was in. I would wake up to like 45 notifications in addition to like family and friends' birthdays, and somebody tagged you in a post. I had to sort through all of the notifications and unsubscribe. So eventually I did unsubscribe. So I can say successfully I'm down to maybe getting 10 to 12 emails a week versus,
That's really good.
And I'm only on a few groups. And then with the change in how social media is now, there are a lot of membership groups that are more focused on the things that you want to do in the areas that you want to go in, whether it be culture, travel, entrepreneurship. So I kind of subscribe to those groups, and I'm in that community, in the space that I belong. So that's sort of how I've got to this.
Which, if I might plug in, any parents out there looking for a very positive group to join, I do have a membership site on Mighty Networks. We can speak to Mighty Networks. Mighty Networks is a really great platform that is focused on the heart of what you're trying to do or be involved in. I have a really great parenting group over there called the Parenting Lounge. So if you'd like to join us, Jeanette and Linda are parents in the Parenting Lounge, and every Sunday, we have shout out to the Parenting Lounge. Every Sunday we have a face-to-face live. We have game days. We have special guests every month, and it's just a beautiful community to be a part of. So you're right.
That's a great segue, Shauna, for sure. Yes, it's an excellent group. We love it. I mean, we look forward to, I think, Shauna, you may have mentioned this prior, but we started out an hour. Then we said, okay. Then it was 90 minutes. Now we're on there for 2 hours. And
every week it's beautiful.
And we still be sitting there with Shauna.
I'm like, okay.
I'll let y'all go. And we be looking like, what?
Yeah, she tried to cancel on us on Mother's Day. I was like,
Mother's Day, 4th of July, like every Father's Day.
I said, no, we're not doing that. It's like, okay, we good. No,
it's a lot of fun.
Mother's Day, we're gonna be here for Father's Day too. So it's a lot of fun.
Exactly. And I think like that goes back to like when we're talking about subscribing to like newsletters. I think people have to be more intentional about it. I know, Linda, you kind of talked about something similar about people's like processes fitting into like what you're trying to do. So while there are 20 different business coaches or 20 million different business coaches out here, everyone is not for you. Like and you have to know what level you're on. And it's not a status thing of what level you're on, but you just have to know who is talking to you where you're at right now.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit more about like, because I think we all kind of pared it down to like 2 people that we know really speaks to where we are, what we're trying to do, and how helpful that is than just being subscribed to 20 million different people.
Yeah, I think it comes to knowing who you are and knowing what suits you. I know for me, I'm more of a smaller group person, even though I have, most of the time I'm very extroverted, but some of those times I need to be nose down and doing my work. The environment. What environment do you thrive in?
Yeah.
Where do you thrive? Is it the topic that's driving you, or is it what you're doing? Because I love being a writer, and sometimes that writing requires me to have the TV off. It's just me and my laptop and my thoughts in my journal in a space where I can do that. So where do you thrive in a group or a setting that has, 4,000 people in it? I can say for me, I don't. So I was in a group that had about 4,000 people in it, honestly.
I know. Lost in the noise.
Yeah, I was so lost in the noise, and I just didn't feel like I fit, even with all those people and all those different personalities. I didn't feel like I fit in that space. So for me, it was more of knowing the environment that you're in and knowing where you thrive. Like if you come alive in these certain groups, whether it could be a smaller, maybe someone else fits in a 4,000 group setting. Maybe that'd be great for them, but don't try to look at them and say, oh, your group has 4,000 and mine has 10. Does that work for you?
Right.
Does the 10 group of people work for you? If you can honestly say that you're happy and you're doing well in that space, that's the space you need to be in. And if it grows and it keeps growing with like-minded people or whatever, it gets to a point where maybe it gets to 100 people and you say, hey, I think I'm ready to share my knowledge with the world, and now I'm going to go over and start my own thing, whatever that might be. Stick with where you thrive. I think those are the key tips there.
Yeah. And what fits into your personality, right?
Yes.
Because I curve it for our audience because I could definitely have a potty mouth. I'm admitted. God has been working on me all my life, and me and him have decided this is just who I am. Unless you deliver these curse words out of my mouth, Lord, they just gonna be there. Like, it's just what it is. So I have a few ladies that I like follow on like social media that are they talk like I talk. But that's not for everybody. Some people I have a friend and she listens to our show. I don't care. She knows. But I have a friend. She doesn't curse. She's not like a holy roller, but she's just a person who doesn't curse a lot. And she knows I do, and I try to curb it for her. She was like, I just don't understand. Like, you just don't have to, curse when you talk. And I'm just like, I think it's like a cultural thing too, like where you grew up and how you grew up. My dad was a Marine, and
my dad too.
Before he found Jesus, he was something. And so, like, for her, following someone who that's their language and how they speak and that's their voice, that's not going to be for her. It's not going to resonate with her because that's all you're going to be able to focus on. Just like I can't follow someone that's like overly preachy. I'm not the girl boss, hustle hard type person. So really finding a person who fits your personality, your language, how you speak is really important. Mia trying to make a guest appearance.
Yes, and she keeps running back every time I try to get her. Come here.
She knows she
here. She knows my attention is diverted right now. Mia
is beautiful. There she is.
Oh. Hey, Mia. Hi, Mia. Y'all on YouTube, you get to see Miss Mia.
That's right.
Yeah. Mia was a star on my YouTube channel for a long time, and my husband said I didn't pay her enough because as soon as I got the computer going and everything, she started running away. Like, I'm not making an appearance.
But Linda, can you talk to that? Was there people that you were following that you realized that, or Shauna, either one of you, that you realized just kind of wasn't a fit for you? Or maybe you outgrew at some point?
Yeah, I think it was more when I was starting out that, I was following these, big time, like you said, like what you said, the hustle hard people. I'm just not like that at all. That's not my personality. I'm just like, I'm probably aloof in some aspects, but then like kind of goofy aloof or whatever. But for me, I am laser focused, and I tried to get in some of those coaching courses where they were teaching those platforms where you teach on.
That make six figures.
The 6-figure genius. Oh man, I was like, okay, I'm to write this bang up blog post. It's going to be 1,050 words and it's going to bring in, affiliates. I could barely spell affiliates. Okay. So I'm sitting here talking about, I'm going to be a blog affiliate. And I had people telling me, oh, you should write about this and you should, write about sexuality on your blog, but it doesn't go with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that's what Shauna was saying earlier. So yeah, I followed there was some
all those
six-figure people, six-figure bosses. And I'm like, that is so not me. I'm not out
That's
there.
like a trigger word for me. Like when I hear that, I be like, next. Swipe.
And
anything wrong with making six figures, but like that's not my motivation.
That's not, and not me either. I would rather be doing something that I love. And I did get caught up. I downloaded the printables, and I never attended the conferences because they were a little too expensive for me, but I got what I could get out of them for what I could, but it just didn't work for me. I'm sort of the, I could walk, I'm the flip-flops, I always joke and shout out to my sister Sherry. I'm like, I'm flip-flops.
Hey, Sherry.
It's like I'm like the flip-flops barefoot in the grass kind of, oh yeah, I think I'm gonna put this on today, or no, maybe I won't. But it just didn't fit. And I was like, y'all, this is not me. So of course, welcome change when I found you ladies and some of the other folks that we've become friends over the years, and now we have this wonderful podcast. I'm like, that just spoke to me.
Yes.
And I still have some of those printables, Jeanette. You probably do too.
I do. Well, I do.
So, but I just know where I'm at, and I think I still follow a couple of them. If I see something they post and that I like, it's cool. I'll click like or whatever, maybe comment and say that's cute. But I just know I'm not going to go down that path.
And I think that's important. One, to know yourself in that way, to know what resonates with you, but also to be yourself authentically, because there's someone that needs to hear that. And there are people that are looking for someone like you because that's
exactly
the way they communicate.
Yeah. Exactly.
When it comes to children, interviewing kids, talking to kids, that is Shauna's lane.
Yes.
110%. Like my kids love her. They be excited as soon as they see us on Marco Polo. They're like, has that been Shauna? Tell her hi. I'm like, everybody else, they're like, what's her name again? Not Miss Shauna.
Right.
They'll never forget her.
Thank you.
Can you talk to that about how you're able to just be yourself? Because a lot of people struggle with that because they feel like they have to code switch all the time and be somebody that they're not to get a following that they don't even want.
Yeah.
It's definitely a topic.
Yeah, so I was listening to what you ladies were saying, and one of the things that resonated to me was when Linda was speaking earlier about having a following and getting caught up on the numbers, of how many followers and stuff like that. It was something that I wanted to make sure I didn't get caught up in, because that gets into the whole comparison trap thing. So I would always tell myself that I want quality versus quantity in every relationship that I make, whether it's on or offline. So to me, it doesn't matter the amount of people. What was most important to me was the quality of the relationship that I had with that person, and that spoke to my spirit and spoke to my authenticity within myself, because I want real connections on and offline, so it was important to me to spend time with people and not get caught up into all of the numbers, and I have this thing, we were talking about pivoting. When you pivot, I have 3 P's that I want to throw out here, and I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I think that when we know that we're not in our lane and we're not doing or being our real selves, it's okay. Like we said before, we will probably say it 1,000 times. It's okay to pivot. It's okay to change. So pivot, pause, and pour. So you pivot because you're feeling like, this doesn't feel good to me. I need to come over here and make a change. And then I feel when we do that, I think we need to pause. And pausing can mean whatever it means for yourself,
reflecting, journaling,
like
earlier,
journaling, meditating. Once you figure out, when you get to the pause stage, and once you figure out what it is, what it means to you, now you need to pour back into yourself. Because when we pivot, it's emotional. It's an emotional pull on ourselves. You know, we thought a certain way, or we felt like this is the way my life was supposed to go, and then we realized, oh, okay, no, it's not supposed to go that way. And just speaking of steps, and speaking of journaling, and speaking of meditating, all of those things are great. The thing about it is that we're dealing with an emotional pull within ourselves. So that could be a process. You know, it may not be an overnight process to pivot, pause, and pour. So I feel it's important to pour into yourself, back all of the goodness, back all of the empowerment, back all of the light within yourself, so that you can move forward with your new plan.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You have to take stock. You have to take time. I have a specific planner that I use that has a monthly reflection.
I'm gonna laugh every time you say you have a planner.
Let me tell you, I got a planner for that.
Yes.
But I have one that does a monthly reflection, and it is really good with like the very specific questions that it asks you about how, you know, not just like, oh, how was your month? What goals did you hit? But how are you different this month than last month? What are 3 actionable things that you can do next month to make yourself better? How would you rate this month overall? And tons of other questions. Even it talks about gratitude, which I'm really big into, because a lot of times we focus on the negative so much.
Yes.
And it's so easy to remember all the bad things that happen, but it asks you like, who and what are you grateful for this month? And once you start writing it down, you realize like, dang, things wasn't really as bad as I thought they were. There's always a blessing in it. So
yeah, you see that silver lining, right? Yeah. And I think that's why that goes back to tracking. That's what journaling, that's all it's doing, is just tracking. Because when you're on the go and you're in motion, you don't have time to think and process and break it apart. Sometimes we go through a whole week. Have you gone through a whole week and you're like, what did I do this week?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have this thing, the 3 of us have this thing on our Marco Polo called Fridays Wins, to try to help us, even though we journal about it, even though we have schedules and everything, we do a lot in a week. And I think that it's important at the end of the week to note what stood out to you, because that's all part of your emotions and gets you going for the next week. Then you start getting, oh, I can't wait to see what my wins are going to be next week.
Right.
You know? So.
And what I love about our Friday wins is, so y'all know, so before the taping of this, like I've been sick for the last 2 weeks. COVID sucks. It just is what it is. And I remember like for the last 2 Fridays, I was just listening to y'all wins like, oh, they've done some great stuff. I haven't done anything but slept. Like I ain't got no wins. And then having that accountability of you ladies help. You're like, no, because you still did this. Even though you were sick, you made this happen. You know, having people to remind you, you know, and wanted to tell you about yourself in the most loving way possible. Or even to tell you to sit down. I was trying to record a Polo one day, like laying way down. I was like, Jeanette, I love seeing your face, but can you please stop talking?
Right.
You got it. Yeah.
I was like, you need to rest. You need to rest, you know?
Okay.
And we were going to record, right? Earlier this week. This week, last week, we had to reschedule around Jeanette. Jeanette needed to get her energy. She needed to rest, you know? And so I remember saying on one of the Marco Polos, I really admire your commitment to the Heart of Chat, but we're not recording today. So yes, having that accountability partners, having someone to speak to you through love.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
Right.
People remind you when you're when you're not in your lane, and it's just like, oh, well, I should be doing this. Like, but earlier this week, so we have Friday wins, so we also on Monday say what our goals are for the week.
Our goals are, that's right.
And reminding like, oh, did you record those chapters for your book this week? You sent out that email?
Look at my face,
Shout
y'all.
out to Shauna. Shout out to Shauna for that reminder, y'all.
I got 2 chapters left still that I got to write in this book. And I'm blocked right now. So I was just telling Linda the other day, I think I'm going to have to take my laptop over to the lake and just knock out those last 2 chapters.
Change the scenery. That helps too. Change the scenery.
Yeah, I need to change my scene.
Yes.
Yeah, that change of scenery helps you focus also.
Yeah, it's a big thing. It's a major thing. And just to have that accountability. I have a friend and she knows who she is. So when I say this, she probably going to be flipping me the bird while she's listening to this, because that's just how we communicate with each other. But she'll be like, like now she's a person I can say, dang, I'm looking for a new printer. Oh, hold up, I got, like, she's like me, but to the 10th degree. Like, oh, hold on, here you go. Here is this. It has this, this, and this, and you said you need that, and I'm like, oh, great, and I order what I need. But she gets distracted really easily by stuff like that and what other people are doing sometimes, and I'm like, why are you doing that again? Didn't you say you hated doing that? But it's just, you know, you can, and I tell her, you can admire what someone else is doing and be motivated to do more in your business, in your lane, but you don't have to pivot into what they're doing because what they're doing looks great. And speaking of like closing a laptop, we'll be on FaceTime, she'll just drop the phone down, face down. I don't care if you don't want to hear it. But she knows it's out of a place of love because we want each other to be great. And same thing.
Want each other to be great.
Yeah. So you see those strengths in your friends, and we see each other's weaknesses. And if you're a real friend, and you know that I'm a real friend, you know that if I tell you something like that, it's only because I know your potential. It's not to make you feel bad about yourself or what you're doing or what one of us isn't doing. It stings sometimes. The truth stings. And I know, like, I talk about my dad and my brother a lot. If you want to know the truth, call them. If you want to live in La La Land and pretend like you don't know what's going on,
there's certain people to talk to.
Right. Exactly. You got a friend,
and you know who they are.
You got a friend of that too.
Everybody has that around them. You know who they are.
Yeah. So exactly. like Linda, I think you mentioned that, like, just surrounding yourself with people that take you higher.
Yeah. And can I add to that, Jeanette? Is we do speak to the other side of that is being able to receive it.
Oh,
so you have to really be in a space where you can receive it, where sometimes you might misunderstand. It may be coming from love, you know, and you might not feel like it's coming out of love because you're not ready to receive it.
Yeah, you might have to take a minute and process it and then come back to them, like, you know what? Because we do that as children, you know, with our parents and even with our own children. Like my daughter, she's 23. My oldest is 23. And I tell her stuff. I don't know if we talked about that on here or not, but about I'm just her consultant at this point. You're 23. And
exactly.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah. You come to me for advice, you don't want to hear it. But then later on, she'll come back and she'll be like, you know what? I didn't want to hear it, but I caught myself giving a friend the same advice and was like,
Yeah. It's like that.
This makes sense to me.
It does. Yes. The sky is open. So So Shauna, what's one call of action for our audience today? What would you, in this topic of focus and staying in your lane, what would be one thing you like our listeners to kind of take away from this?
I would say, stay true to you. Make sure everything that you're doing feels good to you and it's aligned for what you want in your life and what you're trying to do. So stay true to you.
Stay true to you. Yeah, totally agree. What about you, Jeanette?
I go back to something that Shauna said earlier, and it's just really asking yourself one simple question: is that your business? When
I love it.
When you are doing something, or you know, you're putting down what you're doing to pick up something else because you see somebody else doing it, and it's like, is that really, like, what they're doing, does that matter in your business right now? And there's so many different ways you can flip that question and ask yourself that question.
Shauna.
But you know, I'm all about, you know, blunt, direct realness, and you know, I have a kid that's a tattletale, and sometimes, you know, it's okay. Like, okay, fine, thanks for telling me. But sometimes I tell her, but does that matter right now? Is that really necessary right now? And now she catches herself sometimes. She's like,
she's going to ask herself that question.
I probably shouldn't say it. But you have to ask yourself, like, when you're looking at other people and worrying about what other people do, take Shauna's advice and ask yourself that question.
That's your business.
Is that your business? No, get back to your business.
And in some cases, is that your business? Okay, is that your business?
It is that.
And if you don't have any, you need to get some.
Yeah, that's right.
You need to figure it out.
Oh, that's a grandma statement right there, Shauna. Get some business.
You need to get some.
Yes.
Yes. Linda, what about you?
Oh man, so I'm going to go back to something I said earlier. Who you are and what you do is already inside of you.
I love that. Yeah.
That is the takeaway.
That deserves a shoulder dance.
Yes, who you are and what you do.
Yes.
It's already here inside of you.
Yes.
So remember that, and take that home and really resonate with that. And
That's a tweetable right there, Shauna. Linda.
That is.
Oh,
that
got
is.
it, got
That
it.
is.
I think they need to hear it one more time. Linda, tell them again.
Okay. Who you are and what you do is already inside of you.
Yes.
And this will be tweeted, ladies and gentlemen, from the Heart of Chat. Follow us on Twitter.
Yes.
Yes.
Instagram and
Yes.
everywhere else. So
Yes.
any final remarks, ladies? I know we usually cover our follow us, but Shauna, do you want to take us out with our final remarks and where they can catch us?
Yes. So you can catch us, ladies and gentlemen, as Linda just mentioned. We are on Twitter. We are on Instagram. We are on YouTube at the Heart of Chat. And if you haven't purchased your Heart of Chat coffee mug, they are on our website. So one side you can see the picture of the co-host, and on the other side it says the Heart of Chat. So if you're into a tea drinker, coffee drinker, or you like to gift someone, please pick up your mug today. They're on our website. Yes, and so we are so excited that you joined us for another Meatful Monday, and we want you to come back every Meatful Monday because why? Because it's going to be fuego, baby, and we don't want you missing out. We don't want you missing out. Exactly. Come back. And don't forget to give us any ideas or topics, anything you want to hear, anything that you feel we can spin off of what we've already expressed in our episodes. We are open to ideas, so please feel free to reach out to the Heart of Chat.
Working on some merchandise, ladies and gents.
We are.
Yes, merchandising.
Yes. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you.
Ladies. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.